So, how many women here have looked at their hairbrush and felt a quiet fear, seeing more hair than yesterday? Tell you're not alone. To hair thinning affects millions of women worldwide, not just with age, but due to stress, hormonal shifts, nutrient depletion, and inflammation. And yet, we're often told the solution is outside of us: expensive oils, chemical treatments, pills. Duh, but today I want to shift that thinking because science tells us something hopeful. Duh, your body already has powerful systems designed to grow, repair, and protect your hair if you feed them correctly. Just like we can activate our immune system when we talk about hair, we often treat it like decoration, something separate from the body, something that can be fixed from the outside. But biologically, hair is alive at the root. It is one of the fastest growing tissues in the human body, and that growth depends on one fundamental truth: hair is made of protein. Nearly every strand on your head is built from keratin, a dense protein structure that requires a constant, reliable supply of amino acids. If that supply weakens, hair doesn't argue, it doesn't complain, it simply stops growing and starts shedding. I've seen this again and again in real life. A woman comes in worried about sudden hair loss. She hasn't changed shampoos, she hasn't colored her hair, she hasn't moved cities. But when we look deeper, we find a pattern: skipped meals, long fasting windows, low appetite due to stress, or a well intentioned but poorly balanced diet. The body is intelligent. When protein intake drops, it makes a decision based on survival. Organs like the heart, brain, and immune system come first. Hair becomes optional. There's solid science behind this. Clinical research shows that when protein intake falls below the body's needs, hair follicles shift prematurely into the resting phase, a condition known as telogen effluvium. This can happen quietly within weeks. What's striking is that many women experiencing this don't feel malnourished. They feel busy, tired, and stretched thin. But the hair follicles feel it immediately because they are metabolically demanding. They require constant construction, constant repair, constant fuel. To think of protein as more than just muscle food. Protein is communication. Amino acids signal to the body that resources are available, that growth is safe, that repair can continue. When a woman eats an egg, a bowl of lentils, or yogurt, she's not just feeding her stomach, she's delivering raw materials directly to millions of microscopic hair factories beneath her scalp. The eggs are a powerful example. They contain high quality protein along with biotin and sulfur containing amino acids, all essential for keratin strength. In population studies, diets that regularly include eggs are associated with better hair thickness and reduced breakage. Lentils and chickpeas offer another advantage: they provide protein along with iron and zinc, nutrients that support hair follicle activity. This combination matters because protein doesn't work alone. It collaborates with minerals and vitamins to build resilient strands. So, I once spoke with a young mother who experienced dramatic hair loss after childbirth. She assumed it was permanent, something she had to accept. But when we reviewed her routine, it became clear she was barely eating protein, grabbing tea, biscuits, quick snacks while caring for her baby. With gradual changes, adding eggs in the morning, lentils at lunch, yogurt in the evening, her hair shedding slowed within weeks, not because of a miracle product, but because her biology finally felt supported again. Whey protein also influences hormones that affect hair. Adequate protein helps stabilize blood sugar and cortisol, the stress hormone. Chronic stress is a known trigger for hair thinning, and when protein is insufficient, stress responses become exaggerated. By nourishing the body properly, you create an internal environment where hair growth is no longer under threat. What's important to understand is that hair growth is not about forcing results. It's about removing barriers. When protein intake meets the body's needs, follicles stay longer in the growth phase. Strands grow thicker, breakage reduces. Hair doesn't just grow longer, it grows stronger. This is not about excess or extremes. It's about consistency. A balanced intake of protein across the day sends a steady message of abundance. It tells the body that it can invest in renewal. And when the body feels safe enough to renew, hair is one of the first visible signs that things are working again. So when women begin to see fewer strands on the pillow, more strength in their ponytail, and better texture overall, it's not just cosmetic, it's deeply emotional. Hair carries identity, confidence, and self-expression. Supporting hair growth through protein is ultimately an act of self-respect, choosing to nourish the body rather than punish it. When we talk about thicker, stronger hair in women, one nutrient keeps appearing quietly in the background of almost every real case I've seen: iron. Not as a supplement bottle, not as a medical term, but as a basic biological requirement for life. Iron is what allows oxygen to move through your bloodstream, and hair follicles, even though they are tiny, are incredibly sensitive to oxygen supply. When oxygen delivery drops, hair growth slows first. Not because hair is weak, but because the body is wise. I've met countless women who say, "Doctor, my blood tests are normal." and yet their hair tells a different story. What science now shows us is that iron deficiency doesn't have to reach the level of anemia to affect hair. Hair follicles sit at the edge of priority. They are not essential for survival, so the moment iron stores begin to dip, even slightly, the body quietly redirects oxygen to vital organs. The scalp feels this shift long before the rest of the body complains. So here's what's fascinating: hair follicles are among the most rapidly dividing cells in the human body. Rapid division requires energy, and energy requires oxygen. Iron is the gatekeeper of that oxygen. Without enough iron, the follicle cannot sustain the growth phase. It exits early, enters rest, and shedding begins weeks later. This is why hair loss often feels sudden, but its cause began months earlier. There's strong data supporting this. Multiple dermatology studies show that women with low ferritin, the body's iron storage protein, experience significantly more hair shedding than women with optimal levels. What's powerful here is that ferritin can be low normal and still be insufficient for hair growth. The lab may say acceptable, but the biology says otherwise. And now, iron doesn't act alone, it needs partnership. When women eat iron rich foods like spinach, lentils, chickpeas, red beans, or dates, they are feeding more than blood, they're feeding the scalp. But iron absorption depends on vitamin C. A simple squeeze of lemon on lentils, a tomato alongside spinach, or fruit after meals can dramatically improve absorption. This is biology working with food, not fighting it. I remember a university student who came to me exhausted, frustrated, and embarrassed by thinning hair. She thought it was stress, she thought it was genetics. But when we looked at her diet, it was mostly tea, bread, and quick meals. Her iron stores were borderline. We didn't rush to supplements. We rebuilt her meals: lentils, leafy greens, beans paired with vitamin C rich foods. Within 3 months, shedding slowed. Within 6 months, baby hairs appeared along her hairline. Her confidence returned before her hair fully did. Iron also affects hormones, particularly thyroid hormones, which play a major role in hair thickness and texture. Low iron can quietly impair thyroid function, even without obvious symptoms. When the thyroid slows, hair becomes dry, thin, and fragile. Restoring iron doesn't just improve hair, it restores rhythm to the entire system. What makes this deeply emotional is that many women blame themselves. They think hair loss means aging too fast, losing beauty, losing control, but often it's not failure, it's depletion. The body has been giving and giving without being replenished. Hair loss, in that sense, is not punishment, it's a signal. To food based iron sends a message of safety to the body. It says, resources are coming. When the body receives that message consistently, it shifts out of survival mode. Growth resumes, repair resumes. Hair follicles, once paused, reawaken. This process takes patience. Hair does not grow in days, it grows in seasons. But every iron rich meal is a vote for renewal. Every balanced plate is an act of biological kindness. And over time, the body responds with strength, not just in hair, but in energy, mood, and resilience. When we talk about healing, most people imagine medicine as something that comes from outside the body: a pill, an injection, a procedure. But what if I told you that the most powerful healing system on earth already lives inside you? Your body is constantly repairing itself, defending itself, and renewing itself every single day. And one of the most overlooked ways we can support this process is through the food we eat and the signals we send to our biology. So your body has a built-in defense system designed to protect you from disease, inflammation, and premature aging. This system doesn't sleep. It works while you're awake, while you're resting, even while you're dreaming. But like any system, it needs fuel. And not just calories, it needs information. Food is information. Every bite sends instructions to your cells, telling them whether to protect, repair, or slowly break down. And I've seen this firsthand. People come in worried about fatigue, brain fog, weak immunity, or chronic inflammation. They often feel betrayed by their bodies. But when we look deeper, we find that the body hasn't failed them, it's been surviving. It's been making hard choices with limited resources. And survival mode is not the same as healing mode. Inflammation is a perfect example. Short-term inflammation saves your life. It fights infection and repairs injury. But when inflammation becomes chronic, it quietly damages tissues, blood vessels, and even DNA. What's remarkable is that certain foods can calm inflammation at its root, not by suppressing it unnaturally, but by restoring balance. Foods like berries, leafy greens, olive oil, nuts, beans, and spices such as turmeric and ginger communicate safety to the immune system. They tell it to stand down, to repair instead of attack. The same applies to blood vessels. Healthy circulation is essential for every organ: your heart, your brain, your skin, your hair. Blood vessels are not rigid pipes. They are living tissue. They grow, adapt, and heal. When we nourish them with foods rich in polyphenols, healthy fats, and natural antioxidants, we activate the body's ability to regenerate its own vascular network. Better blood flow means better oxygen delivery. Better oxygen means better energy, better focus, better vitality. So, what makes this so powerful is that these changes don't require perfection, they require consistency. The body responds not to one healthy day, but to patterns. Each nourishing meal is a small vote for healing. Over time, those votes add up. The immune system becomes more intelligent, inflammation quiets down, repair mechanisms become more efficient. Tsai once met a middle aged woman who felt she was declining. She wasn't sick enough for a diagnosis, but she wasn't well either. Low energy, frequent infections, slow recovery. Instead of chasing symptoms, we focused on supporting her body's defenses, more whole foods, more plant diversity, less ultra processed food. Within months, she didn't just feel better, she felt resilient. She stopped fearing her body and started trusting it again. Ted, this is where emotion comes in. When people realize their body is on their side, something shifts. Food becomes an act of self respect, not restriction. Health stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like partnership. The body wants to heal, it always has. Our job is to stop getting in its way and start supporting its natural intelligence. To one of the most hopeful discoveries in modern science is that many genes linked to disease are not fixed. They are responsive, they listen to lifestyle signals, sleep, movement, stress, and especially nutrition. This means you are not trapped by your biology. You are influencing it every day. Whether you realize it or not, to healing doesn't happen overnight. It unfolds quietly, energy returns before lab numbers improve, sleep deepens before inflammation markers fall. Strength comes back before confidence does. But it comes, and when it does, people often say, I feel like myself again. What they really mean is that their biology has found its balance. So your body is not fragile, it is adapted, it is intelligent, and when you feed it the right signals, consistently, compassionately, it responds with health. Not because of magic, but because this is how life is designed to work. When we think about hair growth, we often focus on what we can see: length, shine, thickness. But beneath the surface, something far more delicate and powerful is happening. Millions of tiny hair follicles are dividing, repairing, and regenerating every day. This process depends on precise biological signals, and two of the most important messengers in that system are zinc and biotin. These nutrients don't force hair to grow. Instead, they tell your body that it is safe to grow, that resources are available, and that repair can begin. Zinc is a trace mineral, but its influence is enormous. It is involved in more than 300 enzymatic reactions in the human body, including DNA synthesis, cell division, and tissue repair. Hair follicles rely on all three of these processes. When zinc levels fall, hair growth slows, strands become fragile, and shedding increases. Many women are surprised to learn that mild zinc deficiency is incredibly common, especially in those who experience high stress, digestive issues, frequent infections, or restrictive diets. So, what makes zinc so fascinating is how closely it is tied to recovery. After illness, surgery, pregnancy, or emotional stress, the body's zinc stores often drop. This is one reason why hair loss frequently follows these events. The body diverts zinc to vital immune and healing functions, leaving hair follicles undernourished. Hair loss, in this sense, is not a flaw, it is a survival strategy. The body is protecting what matters most. Biotin, often called vitamin B7, works alongside zinc to strengthen the hair's structure. It supports keratin production, the protein framework that gives hair its resilience and elasticity. Without enough biotin, hair becomes brittle, dull, and prone to breakage. But biotin's role goes deeper than surface appearance. It supports energy metabolism inside hair follicle cells, ensuring they have the fuel to divide and grow. Tai once met a woman who described her hair as tired. It had lost its bounce, its strength, its identity. She had tried oils, serums, treatments, nothing helped. When we looked at her diet, it was clear she was eating very little variety, few seeds, few nuts, limited whole grains. Her zinc and biotin intake were both low. With simple changes, adding pumpkin seeds, almonds, oats, bananas, and legumes, her hair texture began to shift within months. She didn't just regain thickness, she regained confidence. This transformation happens because zinc and biotin don't act alone. They interact with hormones, immune signals, and cellular energy systems. Zinc, for example, helps regulate androgen hormones that can contribute to hair thinning when imbalanced. By stabilizing these signals, zinc creates an internal environment that favors hair preservation rather than loss. Biotin, meanwhile, supports mitochondrial function, the tiny energy factories inside cells. Hair follicles are among the most energy demanding tissues in the body. When energy production improves, growth follows. There is also a deep emotional layer to this. Hair loss often makes women feel powerless. They may blame genetics, aging, or fate. But when they realize that nourishment can influence these processes, hope returns. Food becomes empowerment. Each nourishing meal becomes a reminder that healing is possible. Now, what's remarkable is how quickly biology responds. While visible hair growth takes time, cellular signals begin shifting within days, inflammation reduces. Hormonal balance stabilizes, blood flow improves. These internal changes lay the groundwork for stronger hair weeks later. This is why patience is essential. Hair growth is a reflection of what the body experienced in the past, not just yesterday. So, pumpkin seeds are a powerful example. Just a small handful provides zinc, iron, healthy fats, and antioxidants, a complete support package for hair follicles. Almonds deliver biotin, vitamin E, and magnesium, protecting follicles from oxidative stress. Oats provide zinc, B vitamins, and slow releasing energy. Bananas add potassium and vitamin B6, supporting circulation and protein metabolism. These foods don't work as isolated miracles, they work as biological allies. So, what's most inspiring is that these changes don't require perfection, they require consistency and compassion. Nourishing the body is not about rigid rules, it's about creating rhythms of care. When the body feels supported, it responds with resilience. Hair becomes thicker, stronger, more vibrant, not because we forced it, but because we allowed it. Your body is always listening. It listens to what you eat, it listens to how you rest, it listens to how you treat yourself. Zinc and biotin are small nutrients with massive influence, reminding us that even tiny choices, repeated daily, can reshape our biology. When you nourish yourself, you are not just growing hair, you are restoring balance. And from that balance, beauty naturally emerges. When we talk about thicker and stronger hair, we must talk about blood flow because hair does not grow in isolation. Every single strand is fed by a tiny blood vessel that delivers oxygen, minerals, and growth signals directly to the follicle. If that circulation is weak, hair growth weakens. If circulation is strong, hair follicles wake up. This is where iron-rich, circulation-supporting foods quietly change everything, especially for women. Iron is not just about preventing anemia. Iron is about life force. It carries oxygen through hemoglobin, and oxygen is the currency of regeneration. Hair follicles are among the most rapidly dividing cells in the body. They are energy hungry, oxygen hungry, and extremely sensitive to shortages. When iron levels dip, even slightly, the body makes a strategic decision. Oxygen is redirected to the brain and heart, and hair growth is paused. Shading increases, strands thin, and growth slows. Again, this is not failure, this is biology choosing survival. Many women live with low iron without realizing it. Heavy menstrual cycles, pregnancy, breastfeeding, chronic stress, and plant-heavy diets without proper iron pairing can slowly drain iron stores. The result is often described as unexplained hair fall, but when we look deeper, the explanation is written in the blood. So what's fascinating is how quickly hair follicles respond when iron delivery improves. When oxygen reaches the follicle again, dormant cells begin re-entering the growth phase, hair shafts thicken. Breakage reduces, new growth appears along the hairline. This isn't cosmetic, this is regeneration. I remember speaking with a woman who wore her hair tied back every day, not for style, but to hide thinning at the temples. She was exhausted, always cold, and assumed this was just part of aging. Blood tests later showed low ferritin, the body's iron reserve, with gentle dietary changes. Adding lentils, spinach, dates, beetroot, and pairing them with vitamin C rich foods, her energy returned first. Then slowly her hair followed. This sequence matters. The body always restores function before appearance, but iron doesn't act alone. It works in harmony with nitric oxide, a molecule that helps blood vessels relax and widen. Foods like beets, pomegranate, arugula, and citrus enhance nitric oxide production, improving blood flow to the scalp. Better circulation means more nutrients reach the follicle and waste products are cleared efficiently. The scalp becomes fertile ground again. This is why scalp health reflects internal health. A well-nourished scalp is warm, pink, and well-supplied. A nutrient-starved scalp becomes tight, pale, and inflamed. Hair responds accordingly. When women massage their scalp while improving circulation through food, they are not just stimulating follicles mechanically, they are reinforcing a biological message. Growth is supported. There is also a powerful emotional layer here. Hair loss often makes women feel invisible, less feminine, less confident. But understanding that hair responds to nourishment reframes the story. It's not my body is betraying me, it's my body is asking for support. That shift alone reduces stress hormones like cortisol, which themselves contribute to hair shedding. Healing becomes circular, nourishment reduces stress, reduced stress improves hair growth. So data supports this. Studies show that women with adequate iron stores have longer anagen phases in their hair cycle. Improved circulation has been linked to increased follicle density and shaft thickness. These are measurable biological outcomes, not wellness myths. What's beautiful is that iron-rich foods often come with antioxidants and polyphenols that reduce inflammation. Spinach delivers iron alongside folate and vitamin C. Lentils provide iron with plant protein and fiber. Dates offer iron with natural sugars that support energy. Beetroot enhances blood flow while lowering oxidative stress. These foods speak the language of healing fluently, and consistency matters more than quantity. You don't need massive doses. You need steady signals. Each iron rich meal tells your body resources are available, growth is safe. Over time, the hair follicle listens. So, hair is not a priority organ, but it is an honest one. It reflects the state of your internal ecosystem. When circulation improves, when oxygen delivery is restored, when nourishment becomes a daily practice, hair responds with strength, thickness,